After scaling multiple ecom brands now to 7 figures a month and over a dozen different ecom brands to multi 6 figures a month, I've learned that the fastest way to scale Facebook ads is at what rate you can overcome bottlenecks in the scaling process. What exactly is a bottleneck? A bottleneck is just simply something that is preventing you from scaling, AKA you start spending a lot more money on Facebook and then your CPA rises and you need to lower your CPA so you can spend more profitably. Well, your rate at which you can overcome these different bottlenecks in your funnel, the faster you overcome those, the faster you'll be able to scale Facebook ads profitably. And today's video, I want to go over these different bottlenecks that's preventing you from scaling Facebook ads fast, and also give you guys a free calculator you can use to go over some of these bottlenecks maybe in your funnel and what would happen if you improve those and how could that impact your business from a profitability standpoint. That being said, let's dive into the video. So the very first thing, and you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know that ad account consolidation is just one of the easiest bottlenecks that we've solved for every single one of our clients. To be honest, this is probably something that's not even relevant anymore in 2025, but I just still see accounts here and there that are not using the simplified ad account structure setup. Here's just one that we've done in January of 2025 and consolidated down all the way to one campaign. And you'll notice that CPA go from $115 all the way down to $72. Now, this literally impacted the business by generating them 60 more sales a month at a $43 cheaper CPA. That's almost a whole quarter or a little bit more than that off their CPA. Imagine your CPA dropping by 25% right now. What would that do to your business to be able to spend more? Now, after ad account consolidation, the very first thing I look at is how is their current creatives basically positioned inside of the account? Are they overly reliant on, let's just say, for example, top of funnel ads, or maybe they're overly reliant on bottom of funnel ads? Working with this recent account, and this particular client had a heavy emphasis on bottom of funnel ads and very low emphasis on top of funnel. The minute we start putting more top of funnel ads inside of the account and they start getting spend, all of a sudden the overall account CPA started to drop, making them more profitable. Now, as far as what is a top of funnel ad, what is a bottom of funnel ad, the only thing I'm looking at here is going inside their account, clicking on the campaign I want to look at, make sure ad sets are deselected, click on ads for one campaign, change the time frame to last 7 days, click on amount spent to where it sorts it from highest spending to lowest spending ad. And then I'm just simply doing a creative analysis to understand where at in the 5 stages of market awareness is each one of these ads. And then all I'm doing is basically combining product aware and aware as bottom of funnel, and then solution aware, problem aware, and unaware as top of funnel. If they fit in the top of funnel ads, that's top of funnel. If they fit in the bottom of funnel ads, that's bottom of funnel right there. Very simple. And all I'm looking to do here is identify the bottleneck of preventing them spend more by only appealing to a small group of people based off bottom of funnel, or maybe they're appealing to a large group of people like top of funnel, and all I want to do is introduce some bottom of funnel creatives in that account to be able to kind of basically, like, I imagine a bucket full of holes and pouring a bunch of water in that bucket and all falling out. That's what a bad bottom of funnel does. So basically adding in those bottom of funnel creatives, I just kind of hold up that bucket itself right there. Now, next thing I'm looking at is the frequency bottleneck. So basically the same thing in terms of how I get that ad account structure right there. In terms of campaign, no ad set selected, click on ads for one campaign, sort by amount spent. And I want to look at frequency. Now, frequency for me, I'm only looking at the highest spending ad in the account, or the highest 2 or 3 ads spending in the account. And I ideally want this frequency as close as possible to a 1.00. Now, when I'm making decisions off of frequency, I am not turning an ad off based off frequency. I'm not scaling an ad based off frequency. I'm just simply understanding of how many people does this ad resonate with. And then from there, how much more room can I spend on this ad before I start to understand that we're going to start hitting the same people over and over again. And we need to find ads that resonate with a larger group of people on the internet. So for example, there's been accounts we're running or I've seen with students where they have like a 1.8 frequency on their highest spending ad at like $100 a day budget, and they're struggling to scale because they're not, basically hitting new people. So we have to go and toss in better creatives that resonate with larger groups of people to be able to break past that frequency barrier. Now, next thing is cost per click bottleneck. And this is just simply what your cost per click is on your Facebook ads itself. Now, to be fair here, cost per click is not going to be like my main thing of like, hey, I'm turning an ad off based off cost per click. I've never turned an ad off based off cost per click. For me, it's always cost per acquisition, which is how much it is to acquire a customer through Facebook ads. Now, in terms of cost per click, I use this to help tell me how good my creatives are. If I'm getting a really high cost per click and a really bad cost per purchase, then guess what? My creatives are not doing good and I need to improve my creatives. If I'm getting a really high cost per click, but my cost per acquisition is amazing, then guess what? I'm not even worried about cost per click. I'm only really worried about cost per click when my cost per click is really high and I'm getting a bad cost per purchase. Now, if I'm getting a great cost per click, but a really high CPA, then ideally what I'm going to be doing is looking at my landing page. So that means I'm getting an amazing cost per click. Ideally, I want around $1. If I'm getting an amazing cost per click and we're having a really high cost per acquisition, meaning we're getting a lot of traffic to the site, but a really low conversion rate. What's going to mean right there for me is I'm going to improve the landing page by either adding in a pre-sale page, like an advertorial or a listicle, or by just simply improving the current product page we have now. Now, next thing I'm looking at is CVR bottleneck, which is my, basically conversion rate. If I'm going into Shopify itself, what I ideally want to see is about 10% of people adding to cart, 5% make it to checkout, and 2.5% convert. So I want to see a 50% drop off at each one of these stages. Now, there will be some people that do direct from add to cart to checkout, and it'll look like something like this. 10% add to cart, 10% checkout, 2.5% people convert. All I'm basically doing is just assuming that, hey, 10% add to cart, 5% checkout. I'm basically just assuming that 50% off would drop off here, and then I still get that 2.5% conversion rate right there. So just a little heads up on that. Just to be fair, for 10% add to cart, typically, if you have a high AOV, like let's just say around $100, $200, I've seen add to cart as low as like 2 or 3%. So sometimes at a higher AOV, we'll see a lower add to cart. So just being very clear on that right there. As far as like make it to checkout to convert, if you're using Shopify, to be honest, unless you have like a ridiculously high shipping cost, there's really nothing you can fuck up here if you just don't change the Shopify checkout. As long as you add like your branded logo and then like I said, just don't have any ridiculously high shipping, which ridiculously high shipping for me is anything 10 to 20% or anything above 20% of your AOV. If you have a $100 AOV and you have a higher than a $20 shipping cost, for example, in that case, then like that's gonna be a high shipping cost right there. Now, as far as add to cart, this is just gonna be the different trust assets on the page, your actual like product photos, and then also addressing people's questions, objections, and adding in the authority right there to be able to get a higher quantity of people to add to cart. Now, next thing we're gonna look at is the AOV bottleneck, which is basically just how much people spend when they place an order. From my experience, this is just kind of some rough things I've seen over my last 10 years of running Facebook ads and doing over $100 million in revenue for clients in a variety of different industries. Pretty much anything below a $75 AOV, it's gonna be extremely rare. We're gonna see a 3x ROAS or better. Anything above a $75 AOV gives us a good opportunity to get a 3 to 4x ROAS. We've sold products all the way up to a couple $1,000s, through like Facebook ads and everything like that. So yeah, so that's just kind of like my rough things based off IC. And just to give you guys some realistic expectations of what you should see when you have your AOV based off the performance you're getting. Now, if your AOV is low, or regardless if your AOV is low or not, you should always be looking at to improve it. I like to go ahead and add product bundles. I like to go add in volume discounts. I like to go add in-cart upsells. And I like to go ahead and add in things like post-purchase upsells. This is not launching new products for email and SMS. This is a direct post-purchase upsell right after someone hits the buy now button. Now, next thing is the LTV bottleneck. And this is the last thing before we'll actually jump into this free calculator I'm gonna give you guys. And LTV is super important here. And this is basically just the percentage of people that are coming back and buying from you. So for example, this is a screenshot from a client's Triple L dashboard. You can see in the last 30 days, you have 96% new customers and 4% returning customers. Now, the problem with this is that if they turned off Facebook ads today, their business would drop by 96%. So ideally, I want to see about a 60% new customers, 40% returning customers. That's all of our clients that scale to multiple seven figures a month and stay there had a healthy rate of new customers to returning customers. So just keep that in mind. And then you can use Triple L to actually monitor some of that data using a customer cohorts tool. And then you can also map out your numbers using my CPA calculator. But I'm also going to give you guys another cool calculator today. This is not as advanced as this one, but it's also one that I think is just a little bit quicker and a little bit easier to do what I call some funnel math right here. So let's just say, for example, you're spending, let's say $1,000 a day because, you know, we're not some brokey spending $100 a day. And let's just say you're getting a let's just say a $1.50 cost per click. You have a let's just say 2.5% conversion rate. Oh wait, there we go. Average order value, let's say it's $57. You're getting 17 orders a day. Revenue, $950. And then your gross profit that day is -$50. Now let's just say you have no upsells, no nothing. We're just gonna leave that as 0. So right now you're just currently, in fact, actually, let's just do that real quick. So currently right now you're not in a good position. You're spending $1,000. Cost per click is about $1.50. So you're getting what, like 1,000 divided by $1.50, 666 people on your site. You're converting 666 times 2.5. Oh wait, hold up, 0.025. You're getting 17 people to convert on a $60 product. We take that total revenue subtracted by spend, you're losing $50 a day. And again, this does not include fulfillment costs. So you're probably actually losing maybe $200 that day. So where do we improve the math here? So let's say we don't want to drop that ad spend. Let's first and see if we can just get this cost per click down to let's just say, $1.25. That's going to get down a little bit lower. Just that right there immediately gives us a little boost in profit. We're probably going to break even now after like product cost, shipping, and all that good stuff right there. And because it's such a low AOV, I would also like to see this conversion rate a little higher. I would like to see that around 5%. And then let's just say you spend a little bit of time on your AOV, you add a couple upsells, you add like maybe a bundle option. Maybe you add one of those little shipping protection ones, and then maybe you even add some type of post-purchase upsell. And let's just say you get that to $67 now. Now all of a sudden, your cost per acquisition is down, your AOV is higher, you're up to 40 orders a day, and now you're doing $2,600 in revenue, which $1,000 in spend. First order gross profit about $1,680. To be fair, that's probably gonna be a good position right there. It's probably gonna make you like $500-600 a day in profit. So what I encourage you guys to do is actually just go ahead and drop your numbers in here. And again, I'll drop a link to this. I don't know why. As many times as I made these videos and showing you guys to file, make a copy, and save to your drive. That's how you edit it. I get so many people that request to edit this doc, and I'm like, no, you're not. You have to file, make a copy, and save it to your drive if you want access to the doc. Again, I'll put the link below for you guys. Now, let's just say, for example, you're doing $1,680 or $1,680 of profit, gross profit per day. Let's say you want to improve that. You start working on some post-purchase, not necessarily post-purchase upsells in the sense of like adding in, like literally right after the post-purchase, but like through email and SMS, you have some other products on the website, and you're nurturing these customers after they just bought from you. Well, let's just say if you get 30% of those customers to take let's just say, actually I did it completely incorrect. Let's say if I got 30% of our customers to, let's just say we had a $100 product. Maybe the first product was some type of little beginner kit for something like that. And then I'll launch some higher ticket product in the back end. And then all of a sudden that has a 30% take rate through email, SMS, all that good stuff. In fact, actually, I think that's a little too high. Let's do 10%. Because again, we're doing email and SMS. We're not doing a traditional post-purchase upsell in the sense of like, buy now, oh, hey, your order's incomplete. No, I'm talking about something they came in, they purchased, they received their product already. Now they're getting an email and SMS. Now let's look at that upsell. Yeah, so upsell take rate, 10% with a value of $100. Now all of a sudden we're looking at about $400 in gross profit. That's pretty solid right there, because this is all things right here that's not made from ads. So there's no ad costs in this because we already acquired and paid to acquire that customer. So if we look at about a 30% expenses on that, that's probably going to make us around about $280 right there in profit, which puts us about $2,080 in gross profit. Now we're like, hey, that's amazing. Let's ramp it up. Let's say we spend $30,000 one month on that. Well, I was already spending $1,000 a day. So yeah, so this is kind of what the month looks like. Total gross profit about $62,400. I'd probably split that in half if we take out, all the expenses and stuff for this. But yeah, that's a great little tool right there for you guys to work on and just simply go through and manipulate some of these numbers. Be realistic, right? Like if you're getting a $1.50 cost per click, and let's just say you get that down to, like don't go in and be like, oh, I'm getting $1.50 cost per click. Oh, let's see if I could get that down to 50 cents. Like realistically, that's not going to be the case. So for me, it's like I typically on average see anywhere between 10 to 30% up or down, give or take right there. So if we're at $1.50, 30% decrease would probably be around like $1.25. For a conversion rate of 5%, and I improve this by 10%, that's going to put me at 5.5%. If I improve my AOV by 10%, that's going to be about $77, or actually a little less, like $73. And then, like give or take 10 to 30% on these numbers. Don't like go and try to like rapidly change these numbers, because the reality is that's just not going to be right? You're not going to go get a 10-cent cost per click. That's just not going to be the case. You'll probably get like $1.25 in that sense right there. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Link to this calculator will be below. If you want me to come into your ad account, run all of your ads, create your creatives, build out all the systems inside of your business and stuff like that as an agency, then click the link below to have Nick Theriot run your ads. If you want me to review your ad account, review your creatives, give you strategic advice of what you should do next, then click the link below to have Nick Theriot mentor you. Hope you guys have a great rest of all day. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.